Lilia stood alone in the dark, staring into a warped mirror nailed to the wall of her cottage. Rain tapped softly against the shutters. The fire behind her had almost died. In the weak orange glow, her reflection looked less human than carved from wet clay. Crooked nose, uneven jaw, skin pitted from childhood fever. One eye sat slightly lower than the other. People in the village crossed themselves when she walked by. Children laughed openly. Men never looked twice. Lilia touched the mirror with trembling fingers. "I only want one night," she whispered. On the table beside her sat a small bundle wrapped in black cloth. Inside it rested a silver needle, a lock of pale hair, and a vial of dark red liquid thick as syrup. The witch's bargain. Beauty in exchange for a promise. Your firstborn child. Lilia uncorked the vial. The smell rising from it was rotten flowers and iron. She hesitated only a moment before drinking. Pain came instantly. Her spine arched backward. The mirror rattled on the wall as she collapsed onto the floorboards, choking. Her skin stretched. Bones shifted beneath flesh with soft cracking noises. Tears streamed from her eyes as her face reshaped itself piece by piece. The cottage fell silent again. Slowly, Lilia rose. The woman in the mirror was impossible. Smooth ivory skin, dark shining hair, lips soft and red as fresh blood. Her eyes glimmered like candlelight reflected in wine. Lilia stared in disbelief. For the first time in her life, she smiled at herself. And for the first time in her life, she was beautiful. The royal palace stood above the valley like a lantern in the mountains. Music drifted from its open windows into the cold night air. Villagers gathered outside the gates just to glimpse the nobles inside. But guards, who would have turned Lilia away without a word, stepped aside the moment they saw her. Beauty opened doors that desperation never could. Inside, the palace glowed gold. Silk curtains rippled beside towering marble columns. Noblemen laughed into jeweled cups while musicians played somewhere beyond the ballroom. Lilia moved through the crowd carefully, afraid someone might notice she did not belong. Instead, people stared with admiration. Women envied her. Men followed her with hungry eyes. Then, the prince saw her. He was younger than she expected. Pale, handsome, dressed in deep blue velvet stitched with silver thread. His attention fixed on her instantly. "There you are," he said softly as he approached. Lilia blinked. "Your Highness?" "I was beginning to think this evening had no purpose at all." His smile was warm, real. No one had ever looked at her that way before. Soon they were walking together through the ballroom, while whispers followed behind them like smoke. The prince laughed easily. Lilia found herself laughing too. For one dangerous moment, she believed the magic had truly changed her fate. Then another voice interrupted. "Forgive me, Your Highness." A tall man stood beside them, handsome enough to rival the prince himself, black hair tied neatly behind his head, sharp eyes, dark formal clothes untouched by candlelight, as though shadows clung to them. "May I steal her for a dance?" he asked. The prince hesitated. Lilia felt sudden cold creep beneath her skin. Still smiling, the prince stepped back. Only briefly. The stranger extended his hand. Lilia accepted it. The musicians began another song. As they danced, the stranger said nothing at first. His grip was firm and strangely cold. Then he leaned close. "You wear another woman's face poorly." Lilia froze. I don't know what you mean." "Lies are unpleasant things." His voice had changed. Lower now, older. Lilia finally looked fully into his eyes and saw something moving beneath the surface. Something ancient. Then his face began to shift. His skin darkened like rotting fruit. Teeth lengthened behind curling lips. His jaw cracked wider than any human jaw could. Black veins crawled beneath translucent flesh. Lilia nearly screamed. The dancers around them continued unaware. No one else could see him. I know what you are, he whispered. A clawed hand tightened painfully around hers. I protect this bloodline from deceit, from poison, from ambitious little scavengers who creep from the mud hoping to seduce princes. I only wanted... You wanted more than your place allowed. His ruined face hovered inches from hers. So hear me carefully, Lilia. The music slowed. You will never bear children. Cold spread through her stomach instantly. You will never know family. Never hold a son or daughter in your arms. Your blood ends with you. Lilia gasped as agony tore through her body. It felt as though invisible hooks were digging into her womb. Then the demon smiled, and suddenly his handsome face returned. The song ended. He released her gently and bowed as though nothing had happened. When Lilia looked around, the ballroom remained bright and joyful. No one had noticed her terror. The demon walked away into the crowd and vanished. The witch lived deep in the forest, where the trees grew twisted together tightly enough to block moonlight. Lilia arrived before dawn, soaked by rain and shaking with panic. The witch opened the door before she could knock. You look dreadful, the old woman said calmly. Inside the cottage, strange herbs hung drying from the ceiling. Bones decorated the shelves beside jars filled with cloudy liquid. Lilia explained everything in a frantic rush: the dance, the transformation, the curse. When she finished, silence filled the room. Then, unexpectedly, the witch laughed. Not kindly, not cruelly, knowingly. Oh, she said, so my brother found you. Lilia stared. Your brother? The demon. The witch poured herself tea with steady hands. He's always been protective of the royal family. Very tiresome. Fear crawled higher into Lilia's throat. You can break the curse? The witch nodded slowly. There is a lake north of the forest. The witch smiled faintly. Bathe beneath the full moon tomorrow night. The water will cleanse demonic curses. Lilia nearly collapsed with relief. The full moon is tomorrow. How fortunate. The witch's smile lingered just a little too long. The following night, the forest was silent. No wind, no owls. Only the sound of Lilia's breathing as she reached the lake. Moonlight stretched across the black water like silver silk. Mist drifted over its surface. Lilia undressed with numb hands and stepped into the freezing water. At first, nothing happened. Then the lake began to shimmer. The water around her sparkled brilliantly beneath the moonlight. Lilia smiled through tears. It's working. But suddenly pain twisted through her face. She touched her cheek, wrinkled skin, crooked bone. Her reflection rippled in the water below. The beauty was disappearing. No! Her hair thinned, teeth warped, one eye sank lower. The glamour was being stripped away. Not the curse, the transformation. Lilia stumbled backward in horror. Then something moved beneath the water. The lake exploded upward. A massive shape surged from the depths. Pale flesh, endless jaws, clusters of black eyes blinking open across its slick body. Lilia screamed. The creature wrapped around her instantly. Its mouth opened wider and wider until her entire body disappeared inside. The lake became calm again. Only ripples remained. A moment later, two figures stepped from the trees. The witch and the demon. Moonlight touched their faces, revealing neither age nor warmth. The witch watched the dark water quietly. That makes 99. One more and we earn another century. Something enormous shifted deep beneath the lake, waiting, hungry. The witch sighed. It's harder now. Fewer ugly girls willing to believe in miracles. The demon glanced toward the distant lights of the kingdom. For a moment, both appeared young and beautiful beneath the moonlight. Then the illusion flickered. Their true faces were ancient, decaying, inhuman. The lake rippled once more as bones drifted silently to the surface. Thanks for watching. And if you'd like another original story inspired by a random prompt, make sure to return again soon.